Welcome to the Business Spotlight podcast. My name is Kay Cote, and I'm your host on today's episode. And today I have Wendy Covey, CEO and co-founder of TREW Marketing, as my guest. We're going to be learning about her business, her journey to business ownership, best practices she's learned along the way, as well as some challenges she may have faced to give you that inside look to what it's like to own and operate a business. If this is your first time on our channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notified when we drop episodes like this. Welcome, Wendy. It's so great to meet you. Thanks for being on the show today.
You bet. Happy to be here.
Wonderful. Well, before we dive into all things business, I'd love to learn about you. So, could you share a bit about yourself?
Sure, sure. So I am a pretty long time Austinite. I've been here since 97 and I live out in Dripping Springs and I've been here for almost 20 years. So those of you who've been in Austin for a while know that Dripping used to be this tiny little sleepy bedroom community and now Austin is quickly catching up to us. So I'm here. I'm an empty nester. And my claim to fame personally is that I have a state fishing record. So I caught the biggest catch and release redfish in the whole entire lovely state of Texas. So that's my bragging rights.
Okay, that is super cool. I kind of want to dive in. Was it a competition or were you just out fishing one
No.
day?
Just fishing. I was pretty new to coastal fishing at the time. This is back in 2011. And, just hooked into this giant, we didn't know what it was, and ran with the line for forever. And we were trout fishing sort of south of Corpus Christi. And so, figured, I don't know, have a shark, have a dolphin. I mean, who knows? And yeah, it turned out to be this giant redfish. So pretty cool, very fun. And now I have a women's fishing team. And of course, that happens to you early in your fishing career, you can't help but be obsessed.
It's just like anything, right? Like, especially when you have a big win, you're like, I want to keep doing this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so my women's fishing team, we sometimes we win, sometimes we don't, but it's always a good time. So
Oh, very cool. Well, thank you for sharing that story. I just love to hear fun stuff like that.
yeah.
And so now I'd love to learn about kind of like how you got started in business and like was there like an aha moment or is it something you've always wanted to do?
Yeah, there was definitely some aha moments mixed in. So real quickly, so I started TREW Marketing. We're a marketing agency that solely works with engineering and complex tech companies. And the backstory is my early career was spent at National Instruments, and I'm laughing a little bit because I looked in preparation for being on the show today. I went back and looked at a few episodes and saw one of my former colleagues from National Instruments that was just on the show like 2 months ago, Rachel Stazone. So everybody needs to go look at her episode. But I
Oh,
have a similar story to Rachel's in that we were both at National Instruments early in our career. I was there for about 12 years and ran events and regional marketing, moved over to product management. And at the same time, noticed that there was a big gap with NI partners and their terrible marketing. Quite, I don't know how else to say it. The websites are horrendous. They didn't understand marketing, so there was a big need there that wasn't being fulfilled. And at the
mhm.
same time, on a personal note, I fell in love with the Dripping Springs man, and we decided we wanted to raise our family out in Dripping. And if you know Austin, you know that National Instruments and Dripping aren't very close together. So working virtual wasn't an option at the time for an I. So for those reasons, decided to strike out along with an NI colleague of mine, Rebecca Geyer, who also was anxious just for that next step in her career, saw the same need. And so together we started the agency back in 2008.
Mhm.
And do you remember what 2008 was like?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, it wasn't a good, yeah, it wasn't a good economic time. So that leads to all sorts of other stories we can share. But I will say that just that time at NI and all the leadership development that they did just set me up really well. A lot of the ways I operate my business now are similar to the things I learned and admired about how NI ran and operated. So.
That's really cool, especially when you can like that's a golden nugget right there for our audience is, you were able to take what you've learned in a previous position and use those skills to the
Yeah.
next thing. So I think that's really cool. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. And so as you're going, did you know right away what you wanted the company to be? Because you mentioned a niche client base, working
Yeah.
with engineering and complex tech companies. Was that always what you wanted to do, or did it, like most businesses, kind of start with a different idea?
Yeah, it was more like most businesses start with whoever will pay you. And so,
Wait.
we struck out and we worked with Dell Children's Medical Center and the United Way and diverse set of clients, in addition to NI partners, as I previously mentioned. So it was a mix of that. And then when the recession hit, the Great Recession, and things got tough, we looked inwardly and we said, who are the next five customers we want? Like, where are we taking this business? Because this is really hard doing marketing for a nonprofit one day and for a system integration company and manufacturing tests the next day. And so we said, you know what? We've spent our whole careers in engineering. We know the trade shows, we know the publications, we know how to write for this audience, how to message to these engineer buyers. Let's narrow our focus. And it's that same business principle of narrow your focus, find your niche, and your business will take off. And that's exactly what happened.
That is so true. And I think that's, like, again, what's so important for business owners is, like, sometimes we're shiny, like, see the shiny object, or we, want to do, like, kind of spread wide, but sometimes, like, going more narrow can help with, like, understanding what the business is, as well as, like, refine. So I think that's super cool that you did that.
Yeah, thank you.
And now I'd love to kind of talk about your team, and I'm sure there's a great team behind everything you're building. So
Yes.
tell me about your team. How many members do you currently have on your team? And then what is your team culture like?
Yeah, so we have a team of 10 full-time folks, and then we have a set of contractors that we use for overflow, like programming or videographers and sort of specialized functions. And so our team comprises of strategists, writers, and some marketing specialists that are a bit of jack of all trades. So they can play in Canva one day and do social media posting another day. So they're kind of, the doers of all. And our culture, so we're virtual. We've always been virtual for since the founding 17 years ago. And that's been a blessing for a lot of women are in marketing and they want to be there. If they're moms, they want to be there when their kids get off the school bus. And they
Yeah.
don't want to, have some of the burden that comes with hair and makeup and clothes. And I know it may sound trivial, but it's a big deal. It takes a lot of time. And so to be able to work from home and get the right tools to facilitate working from home has been a big secret to our success, I believe. Um, about half the team is in Austin and half is spread all over the US, but we're very Austin centric when it comes to our culture. We like to say our culture is laid back excellence. So we like to be approachable. We're not stuffy. We're not, shiny shirt business suits, but we still have that bar for excellence that's really high and that attention for detail that you have to have working in tech. So that's us.
100%. And that, I feel like that approach too is so great, having that, especially for women. It takes us like an hour and a half to get ready,
Yeah.
especially moms. We have to get the kids ready. And then, having that that kind of flow state, laid back
Yeah.
vibe, I think that allows for our minds to be their strongest, right?
Yeah, I do too. And now you have tools like Slack, and here we are on Zoom. It makes it so easy. Turn on that camera, make it personal. It works really well. It's working for us at least. Yeah.
That's cool to hear. Well, I want to kind of talk about now moving into what do you want to do, say, in the next 3 to 5 years? Where do you see the company going?
Yeah, so we're doing some pretty exciting things. So, like I said, 17 years is a long time to be in business, so we figured out a lot of who we are, who we want to work with, what services are in our wheelhouse, which are more adjacencies. And that's really important, right? Because I don't know if people listening have worked with marketing agencies before, but it's hard as a small agency to cover every marketing function and to keep up with all the innovations and crazy ways in which marketing is changing. So really figuring out where your core skill sets. So for us, it's strategy development, it's brand messaging and communications, it's a lot of content development around technical content, it's search optimization within the context of content. Um, so that's how we operate. And within that, we've decided that education is really important. You have a lot of technical business owners, they're engineers, they're skeptical of marketing. They want it to be a formula, dollars in, leads out. And it's not exactly, branding doesn't work that way. My thought leadership doesn't work that way. So we've done in the past a lot of education. So think published 2 books. We have ebooks, we have the podcast. And about 8 years ago, we partnered with another company to do a research report on how engineers and technical buyers seek and consume information to make technical decisions. So we conduct this research annually, and it's been the Bible for marketers in our industry to just figure out where they should invest their budget and engineers' attitudes towards everything from social media to what types of content they like. And
Mhm.
because education seemed so important and lacking for this community, we founded an in-person event 2 years ago with another agency called the Industrial Marketing Summit. And so this is a long-winded way of answering your question to say, when I look into the next 3 years, this event is rapidly growing. We had over 300 marketers come to Austin for the event back in February of this year. So we're hosting it again. And so a lot of our effort is being poured into these educational resources to help the community as a whole and help us all, rise all the boats together through this education. And I think it's also just a nice way to extend our investment, a new revenue stream for us. So we're pretty pumped about that.
Oh, I am all about events too. So that is really cool. I wish you well with, with that as you vision the next 3 years. And now I want to dive into something. I love to show the transparency because being a business owner has a lot of challenges, and a lot of our listeners are, we're kind of, when you're the owner of the business, who do you turn to? So we love to share a transparent look into some of the challenges that our business owners are facing. So is there something now as a business owner you are challenged with that you're currently working through?
Yeah, yeah, great question. And there have been so many challenges over the years. I think in a services business, there's this natural tension between your pipeline and taking on enough clients or the right kind of clients and keeping everybody busy. So capacity management and when do I hire? And I don't feel like I just have to live in that tension and it always feels uncomfortable. And there's never like, oh, it's so obvious that now we staff, or it's so obvious that now our pipeline needs to grow because quite frankly, we do have control over our pipeline to a certain extent, but macroeconomic trends definitely make an impact. And
Yeah.
as we're recording this right now, it's been an interesting ride this year. We work a lot in manufacturing and US manufacturing, and we work a lot in automation. And so but we also work with electronics manufacturers. And so when the tariffs came, what is this going to do? It killed one piece of our business that we work with or impacted them, but then the other piece is booming. And so what we predicted to be maybe a sluggish year has turned out to be an excellent year. So keeping up with those macroeconomic trends and balancing this, like I said, this tension of staffing and pipeline, those are the things that I would say, if anything, keep me up at night a little bit, for sure.
Oh, definitely. So what are some of the current, things you're doing to kind of help mitigate those? Some of it is like unpredictable, but are there some systems or things that you're looking out for in your business that are going, like the efforts that are going towards finding solutions?
Yeah, yeah, great answer. So on the capacity side, we used Harvest and their forecasting tools so that we can look at, managing capacity, who's close, who has time, and knowing that no week everyone's going to be completely full or completely empty. We have a parking lot of like a wish list of product projects that we just quite can't, you can't quite get to. And so the expectation with the team is if you're having a quiet week and you don't have as much billable work, grab something off of this wish list. And so that's helped us accomplish projects that were on the back burner and take advantage of this available capacity within the team. So I like that really well. And then on the pipeline side, really looking at, again, if you go back to macroeconomic, okay, well, if electronic components is down, but automation is up and robotics, let's spend more of our biz dev efforts towards one versus the other and just be a little dynamic of where we play. And then finally, that educational piece of creating these educational resources that I mentioned earlier have been a huge uh, thing for gaining credibility, but also just lead generator, right? Everybody's downloading that report, they're coming to the webinar. So it's been a great just asset for inbound marketing.
100%. Now, as you're creating these opportunities for education, like a summit or an event, how has that impacted your staff? Are you seeing that maybe by like going into that direction more, you're going to need more staff for that? Or how does
Yeah.
that feel?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's definitely made a dent. We've had to reserve more time than we expected for the staff to be able to do those sorts of things. And we're not quite at that tipping point where the hours in was worth the money that came out. But I think we'll pass that as the event grows in 2026 and beyond. So we're trying to be scrappy, and I think eventually we're going to need to bring in contractors and get help. It's probably not something we're going to staff full time, but I mean, we'll see how it goes.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I absolutely love this conversation. I could talk to you for hours, but now I want to dive into a fun part of the Q&A called
Okay.
our rapid fire questions.
All right, bring it.
All right, we got four of them coming your way.
Okay.
Question number one is, what is the key to success for you?
The key to success. Okay. You know, It's just taking action. I think that the analysis paralysis is real. And sometimes I'm known as Sprinter Wendy, where I want to run really fast and quick and just get after it. And I like to surround myself with people that'll ask probing questions and slow me down a little bit. But at the end of the day, failing forward, taking action, that's the thing that gets your business moving, is just keep that momentum going.
100%. Question number two is, what is a key or what is a piece of advice you have for other business owners?
Oh, that's very broad right there. Well, I will say, as a marketer, as a marketing agency providing advice, don't be afraid to share your expertise. Don't be afraid of giving away what you consider your secret sauce. If anything, you are teaching your methodology, explaining how you do things, and it'll help you gain credibility and get people to better understand whether or not they're a fit for working with you. I mean, I wrote a whole book that's like, here's exactly soup to nuts how we do things. But what did it do? Did it have me lose business? No, it drove business to us. So be generous with your knowledge and have a regular cadence of sharing and of publishing content. Don't just do it once and expect that to do something for you. It has to be a regular thing, regular routine.
Definitely. That's another golden nugget of our conversation. It is like transparency and sharing is helps everybody grow. And
Yeah.
it's so beautiful to see that sometimes. All right, question number three is what is it could be a book, a podcast, an article, anything that has maybe impacted you most recently?
Yeah, I am obsessed with a podcast by Paul Reitzer, and it's called the uh, Artificial. Well, he just changed it. Hang on. I'm gonna look at my phone. He's changed the name. It's the AI show or the Artificial Intelligence. Yes, the Artificial Intelligence Show. And I know Paul Reitzer personally. He started the Marketing AI Institute back in like 2016 when the rest of us were like, AI what? Machine learning what? This is crazy. Why are you doing this? Why are you sold a very successful business to go off and start this new thing? He is on the forefront of where AI is taking us as a culture, as business owners, and he speaks very specifically to business owners about how you should respond to what's happening, how you should adopt this, what are some of the gotchas that you need to look out for. So he drops a new episode every week. the Artificial Intelligence Show with Paul Reitzer. Go check that one out.
Awesome. Thank you. I think that's great for anyone to like check that out, especially if they are unsure of what to think of AI. So I love
Yeah.
that. Final question in our rapid fire is if you could wave a magic wand and rapidly improve one aspect of your business, what would it be?
Ooh. I think if there was a way to have this perfect formula of your pipeline's going to do this and see into the future, and this is where you staff and this is where you don't, just did that to auto magically happen for me, that would be great. I would love that.
That is amazing. Well, before we get to our final question of the day, how can folks get plugged in with you and your business online?
Yeah, so we're trewmarketing.com. So that's TREW marketing. And you can find me on LinkedIn, Wendy Covey, and check out my podcast. It's called Content Marketing Engineered, and it's on all the podcast platforms. And we focus specifically on marketing best practices for marketers in engineering and complex tech.
Wow. Again, I love how specific that is. Thanks for dropping your podcast as a fellow
Yeah.
podcaster. Always love to support. So before, again, for our final question today, Wendy, what is most inspiring to you today?
I have been inspired by my husband recently because we're new empty nesters, and that's an interesting time in your life where you have some extra time. You're not, worried about is your high schooler breaking curfew or whatever. And he has volunteered to be a shotgun coach of sporting clays here in Dripping Springs. And over the weekend, they just won state. So to volunteer your time to help these kids get better and then to see this huge thing happen has been a big deal. And he's made lots of friends. We've made lots of friends through that. So I'm inspired to find something new to give my time to because I see how rewarding it's been for him and for the people that it impacted.
Wow. Well, big congrats. That's amazing. And again, Wendy, thank you so much for just sharing your story with me on the show today.
You bet. Thanks for having me.